Hi everyone, welcome to Gateway Lectures. Here are the solutions to the quiz day 11, and today's subject is about power plant engineering. Power plant engineering mainly consists of parts like steam turbines or the steam power cycles, gas power cycles, steam turbines, gas turbines, and types of compressors. These are all the syllabus of the power plant. We'll be taking some few basic questions from the power plant engineering, and this year for GATE 2021, steam turbines and gas turbines is also added to our syllabus. So we are also dealing the questions from steam turbine and gas turbine. So here are our first question on Rankine cycle. A Rankine cycle operates between the pressures of 80 bar and 0.1 bar. So 80 bar is the highest pressure, 0.1 is bar is the lowest pressure. Nothing but the 80 bar is the entry into the compressor, entry into the turbine, and 0.1 bar is at the condensation state. The maximum cycle temperature is 600 degrees centigrade. So the maximum cycle temperature attains after combustion, right? After the heat addition, that is 600 degrees centigrade. If the steam turbine and the condensate pump efficiencies. So the steam turbine efficiency is nothing but the thermal efficiency of the steam turbine, and also the condensate pump efficiencies were also given in the question. Thermal efficiency is nothing but isentropic efficiency. The steam turbine is an isentropic device, right? So it is having an isentropic efficiency of 0.9, and also the condensate pump is also having some efficiency of 0.8, right, respectively. Calculate the specific power and thermal efficiency. We need to calculate the specific power. Specific power is nothing but the work net upon the mass flow rate, nothing but kilojoule per kg. That is the specific power, and the thermal efficiency of the entire cycle, and also the property values from the steam tables and also from the superheat table were given. Since it is given superheat table, our whatever be the cycle we are driving, that cycle is the inlet to the turbine is at superheated stage. Since in the question they gave a hint that it is entering into the superheat stage. So at 80 bar they given the superheat table. So first we will draw the TS diagram for this. For drawing TS diagram, we know the Rankine cycle. The process 1 to 2 will be isentropic expansion, and again 2 to 3 the complete process ends at saturated liquid, and then it is pumped to a certain pressure, and then from that pressure it is into the economizer, nothing but the part of the boiler where it is given the sensible heat, and then after economizer it is passed into the boiler where it is taking the latent heat, right? After taking the latent heat, it again expands to the it enters into the superheat region, right? And entering into the superheat region, it will be taking heat in the superheated stage. Okay, so these were all the stages in the compressor. So let us mark the points here. So this is 1, and this is 2, this is 3, and let this be some 4 dash, and this is our state 4 where again it enters into the saturated liquid. And talking about the devices used, this is our turbine, condenser unit, pump, economizer, boiler drum. Actually in the drum latent heat, only the phase change occurs in the drum. Remaining all the heat transfer occurs in the economizer and also in the superheaters. There are 3 types of superheater that all we'll discuss in the PowerPoint layout, but here for this question these were the data. And also in the question, turbine efficiency and the pump efficiencies are given. Whenever turbine is not having 100% efficiency, then always remember there is some irreversibility. So when there is an irreversibility, the turbine will not actually follow a straight line. It will always try to increase its entropy. Whenever you see either for turbine or compressor or for the pump, wherever you see the efficiency term, then always remember it follows a path in which its entropy is increasing. So this is our temperature axis, this is our entropy axis. So in 1 to 2 is an isentropic process, the entropy remains constant. But here due to efficiency, entropy is not constant. There is an increase in entropy, that is there is an increase in irreversibility. That is where we are getting the efficiency. So for the increase in irreversibility on the same pressure line, right, this turbine moves in a state from 1 to 2 dash, not exactly 2, it is 2 dash. And also similarly the pump also will increase its entropy, and it will enter into the state of somewhere here around 4 double dash, right? Instead of following the path, so we'll represent the paths clearly with some other color. This was the path, actual path followed, and here for the pump this was the actual path followed. right? These were the 2 points, main important things in the question, and from here everything will be easy. Once you plot the TS diagram, then the question is nothing. It can be finished within 2 to 3 minutes with a little calculation. We'll note down all the enthalpies given in the question. First, observe this cycle, this stage. This superheat table, where at 80 bar and 600 degrees centigrade, the enthalpy is given as 3642. That is nothing but H1. And also at 0.1 bar, the HF, HFG, HG was given, and also at 80 bar, HF, HFG and HG was given. And also the entropies, if you were to equate entropy at 1 and 2, then 1 is at 80 bar, the entropy we've got, right? S1 and S2 we can equate. From that we can calculate some dryness fraction of the steam leaving the turbine. So here one important thing to note is, whenever you are drawing, after drawing the TS diagram, we need to find first of all the state of this 2. What exactly is the state? What is the dryness fraction at the state point 2? So for that, first of all, we will write down all the enthalpies given in the question. We will calculate all the enthalpies. So first, the given value in the question from the superheat table, it is H1 is equal to 3642 kilojoule per kg. H1 was got obtained, right? And now we will calculate the H2. For calculation of H2, we need X2, because H2 is not on the saturation curve. If it is on saturation curve, directly from the steam tables, we can get the value of H2. But it is not on the saturation curve, we need to calculate the value of X2. For that, what we will do is, we know S1 is equal to S2 since it is an isentropic process. And the S1 in the question is given in the superheated table. Superheat table, and S1 is given as 7.0206. That we will substitute here. We'll be a little bit fast here, so don't worry, just follow the video. So S1 is given in the question as 7.0206 is equal to S2. How will you write the state S2? Nothing but SF2 plus X2 into SFG2. SFG2 is nothing but at 0.1 bar, and 2 everywhere. The 0.2 is nothing but at 0.1 bar. So here 7.0206 is equal to, SF2 was given in the question as 0.6488 plus X2 into, we need to calculate X2, and SFG2 value directly was given in the question as 7.5006. This is all you can observe at 0.1 bar. At the 0.1 bar, 7.50 SFG was given, and SF was also given 0.6486. Once we will substitute this, we will get the value of X2 as 0.85. That is 85% at the end of turbine, that is the end of expansion, the steam is at 85% vapor level. It is having 85% vapor out of the total mixture. Okay, that is nothing but the dryness fraction given. And now here, after getting X2, we can calculate H2 easily. H2 is equal to HF2 plus X2 into HFG2. Since here HFG values, SFG values are given, we are directly writing the HFG2 values here. So at 0.1 bar, the HFG2 was given as 2392.3, HF was given as 191.9. So we will substitute them. H2 is equal to 191.9 plus X2 0.85 into the HFG2 is given in the question as 2392.3. From this we will get the value of H2. H2 comes out to be 2225.36 kilojoule per kg. H2 was also obtained. And now we will discuss about H3. So we will draw a line here separating these terms. So we will calculate H3. H3 is nothing but equal to, it is on the saturated liquid, so it is equal to HF at 0.1 bar, and that is nothing but 191.9. So H3 was also obtained. And now we need to calculate H4. Okay, we need to calculate the value of H4 dash, not H4, H4 dash. We need to calculate, H4 is directly known at 80 bar, it is at the saturated liquid line. So we need to calculate H4 dash. For that, what we'll do is the work done by pump. So pump is handling the liquid part of the process. So work done with the pump can be written as, and pump is an open cycle device. So for open cycle device, the work done is specific volume into change in pressure. For the pump, the change in pressure is, here it is at the pressure of boiler, and here at the pressure of condenser. This is the boiler pressure, and this is our condenser pressure. So it is P boiler minus P condenser. And the VF is nothing but the VF at the state 3 that was given in the question. Nothing but into the pump, the entry is at VF3, and it is given in the question VF at 3 is nothing but at 0.1 bar, the VF value is 0.0010103. That we will substitute here, 0.0010103 into the pressure at B was given in the question as 80 bar, and nothing but 80 into 1000 kilopascals, 80 into 100 kilopascals minus 0.1 into 100 kilopascals. And from here we'll be getting the work done by the pump as 8.073. This is the ideal work done, because we are calculating the value 4 dash. One we'll get into 4 double dash after writing just all the enthalpies here. So from this we can write it as H4 dash minus H3. Right, work done by pump is nothing but H4 dash minus H3. H3 was known in the question. We'll calculate the H4 dash. H4 dash is 199.97. We'll get the H4 dash value as 199.97 kilojoule per kg. H4 dash was known, H3 was known, H2 was known, H1 was known. Every value is being obtained. Now what we'll do is, now these values were known. H4 was also known in the question. That is of no use here for us. We need only for the data for the pump and the turbine. For the pump, the actual value is between 4 dash, 4 double dash and 3. The ideal value is between 4 dash and 3. And for the turbine, the actual value is between 1 and 2 dash. But the ideal value is between 1 and 2. So we need to calculate H4 double dash and also H2 dash. So for that, what we'll do is, the efficiency of pump was given in the question. Right, the efficiency of pump was given in the question as 0.8. And what exactly is the efficiency of the pump? What exactly is the efficiency of the pump? So what is a pump? A pump consumes electricity, right? If it is consuming electricity and doing the whatever required task, when it is not performing to its 100% efficiency, then it will consume more power. So efficiency is always a term which will be equal to numerator upon denominator, where the denominator value will be the highest. So in that way, to the denominator value to be the highest, if you can observe, the denominator value is H4 double dash minus H3, because due to some irreversibility, the pump is taking more enthalpy difference, more work to do the specific task, to increase the pressure to that boiler. And also the ideal thing is, it can work between H4 dash and H3. Ideally it is assumed to be an isentropic process, but actually it is not an isentropic process. It is deviating from the isentropic process. So this efficiency can also be called as isentropic efficiency of the pump. And H3 was known in the question. H4 dash was known, H3 was known. Then we'll calculate H4 double dash from this. By substituting all the values from the given data, we'll be getting H4 double dash as 201.99 kilojoule per kg. Right. And now the net pump, the net or actual, we can take it at actual pump, work done by pump, can be given by H4 double dash minus of H3, and that comes out to be 10.09 kilojoule per kg. Right. Now all enthalpies were known at all states, and also at state 2 also we need to calculate. But here we'll do one more thing. Instead of calculating at stage 2, we'll do one more thing is, we'll take the efficiency of turbine. General efficiency of turbine, when we're talking about efficiency of turbine, it is given in the question of 0.9. The turbine work is to generate power. If it is having some irreversibility, it will generate less power. If it is having no irreversibility and it is an isentropic process, it will generate more power. So the more power is the isentropic process. So it should be in the denominator, and that is nothing but the W ideal upon the W, and the numerator will be having the W actual. Okay. And 0.9 was given. We know the W actual from the given data, from the given diagram, we can see the W actually is H1 minus H2. But the H2 dash, W actual is. The W ideal is H1 minus H2. So to calculating the work done by the actual work, we will take the W actual is equal to 0.9 times the W ideal. Right. So 0.9 times the W ideal is nothing but 0.9 into the W ideal is H1 minus H2. The value of H1 is known in the question, and the value of H2 was also obtained. When you take the difference of H1 minus H2 there, then we will be getting our actual work from the turbine is 1274.976 kilojoule per kg. So in the question, the actual work done by turbine was known, and the actual work done by pump was known. Now we can calculate the net power. It is easy thing. So net actual or net power is nothing but work done by turbine minus work done by pump, and that is also nothing but the specific work output, because we are taking per unit mass. So the W net comes out to be 1264.886. I mean 1274.976 minus 10.099. It comes out to be 1264.886 kilojoule per kg. And this is our one of the answer of the question. One more part was asked in the question thermal efficiency, and we know the thermal efficiency is nothing but W net upon heat added, right? So W net here is already we have obtained that 1264.886 upon, we need to calculate the heat added. So where is the heat is added? Heat is added in this region between 4 and 1. The heat is added. So we need to calculate the value of H1 minus H4 double dash actually, because the heat addition starts from here, because the pump ends at 4 dash and heat addition starts from here. This is all the heat addition process. So this is all the heat addition process from 4 dash to 1. So we need to calculate heat addition, and that is nothing but QA is equal to H1 minus H4 double dash. H1 was known in the question 3462. H4 double dash was calculated in the question 201.99, and that comes out to be 3440 kilojoule per kg after subtracting. So we'll write the value here 3440 into efficiency, since it is asking percentage, we'll get the into 100, and that comes out to be 36.769%. And this is our answer. This is our answer for the second part, and the first part basic work also was calculated in the question. Now we are moving on to the next question. In an air standard regenerative gas turbine, the previous question was about steam turbines, that is the Rankine cycle. We are using here gas turbine. Whenever it is given in the question air standard, it is always the Breton cycle, and it can also be called as Joule cycle. So you need to remember the TS diagram for each cycles. You need to remember the ideal TS diagrams. From that, with any reheating, regeneration, or the combinations, we can just change the points. With the thermal efficiencies or the isentropic efficiencies, we can change the things. So initially, it is an air standard regenerative gas turbine cycle. Okay, and the pressure ratio was given in the question. We'll write down all the data. The pressure ratio was given in the question. That is nothing but RP is given as 5. Air enters at the compressor at 1 bar. So entry into the compressor is 0.1. That is 1 bar. We will discuss what all the points we have with the TS diagram. So P1 is equal to 1 bar, and the T1 is given as 300 Kelvin, and leaves at T2 at 490 Kelvin. And since the PR pressure ratio is P2 upon P1, then our P2 comes out to be P1 into 5, nothing but 5 bar. So the pressure and temperature at state points 1 and 2 are obtained. P2 was known, and also the maximum temperature in the cycle. Always the maximum temperature is cycle after the compression, that is at T3, and the T3 is equal to the maximum, and the given value of the maximum is 1000 Kelvin. Now we need to calculate all the data required. So before that, we will draw the TS diagram for this. Drawing the TS diagram. So for drawing the TS diagram, this is the T and this is the X. Since it is an air-operated, gas-operated gas turbine, we don't have any phase change. So here no need of drawing the saturation curve. And we know the processes in the Breton cycle. Thus we can represent. The first will be the compressor, and the compressor will consume the least power in the, maybe comparatively it is the high, but compared to the turbine it is the least power. So the compressor is an isentropic process, and its line should be a straight line. And we know the turbine will produce more power than the compressor. Otherwise there is no use of using the gas turbine, right? So the turbine will produce a more power. So draw a more straight line. Draw a larger line. Now we'll join both the lines. This is a constant pressure heat addition, constant pressure heat rejection. These are all the states. So this is state 1, state 2, state 3 and state 4. Calculate the cycle efficiency given the efficiency of the regenerator. So here we are using a case of regenerator, and the adiabatic efficiency of the turbine. So there is an adiabatic efficiency of the turbine. What is adiabatic efficiency? Is nothing but the isentropic efficiency. So this is the pressure of the turbine, and this is the pressure of the condenser, or can be called as atmospheric pressure actually, because after exiting the turbine it is to the atmosphere, and this is at the entry to the entry to the turbine, right? That is a higher pressure. There is a P higher and this is a P lower, and it is given there is an adiabatic efficiency, nothing but the isentropic efficiency of the turbine. Therefore, our turbine, instead of following the actual path 3 to 4, it follows, since it is having some efficiency less than 100%, then it will have some irreversibility, so entropy increases. So it follows a path in this way, and it reaches to a point, and we'll mark the point as 4 dash. This point is 4 dash. And also in the question, efficiency of regenerator. The efficiency of regenerator is nothing but the effectiveness of the regenerator. So whenever we are using a regenerator, so whenever there is a case of regenerator, always mark a point as 3 dash. Mean in between the 3 dash and 3, actual combustion process happen. But 2 to 3 dash, the heat, whatever is being added, that is done by regenerator. So to understand that, we'll see how the regenerator works. So this is the setup when we are using a regenerator. This is our compressor, this is our turbine, this is our combustion chamber, and this is the regenerator, or we can call it as a heat exchanger, regenerator heat exchanger. So from the outside atmosphere, our air will be entering into it. Since we are using air standard, so air will be entering, it will be compressed, then it enters into a heat exchanger. We'll discuss the part later. After heat exchanger, it enters into the combustion chamber, where from the fuel we will be giving our heat input. So it takes some heat, and due to increase in temperature, it enters a turbine with some heat energy. After entering in turbine, it does the expansion, and the flue gases or the exhaust gases leaves out. We can call them as flue gases. We can just call it as an exhaust gas, because we are using only air, no coal here. So it is an exhaust gas actually. Exhaust gas is leaving. Generally, exhaust gas will be left into the atmosphere. But what with the help of regenerator we do is, the exhaust gases will also have some heat energy. So we will utilize that heat energy to raise the temperature of the air entering into the combustion chamber, such that we need only less heat input. We need only to burn less fuel to produce the sufficient heat. So some part of, suppose into the turbine we need a heat of 1000 kilojoules. If suppose we need 1000 kilojoules, the 1000 kilojoules generally should be given by the combustion chamber. But by using regenerator, that is the using of exhaust gases, some 300 kilojoules of the heat is already given by the heat exchanger. So now the combustion chamber required only to give 700 kilojoules. This was given by the heat exchanger. Now our combustion chamber should give only 700 kilojoules for it. For this 1000 kilojoules, if you were to burn, suppose 100 kg of fuel, whatever be the fuel, but for this 700 kilojoules, we need only to burn 70 kg of the fuel. So we are saving the cost in the fuel. So in that way, our efficiency of the steam power plant increases. Sorry, not steam, the gas turbine, the gas power plant increases here, since we are reducing the heat input, reducing the cost of fuel. Okay, that is all. The efficiency is all about the cost, right? So here in the heat exchanger, in this way it can help, but the power output remains the same. We are giving only the Q is equal to 1000 kilojoules to the turbine, so the power output remains the same. What is the power output that remains the same, that is given to the generator, right? So this is the use of the heat exchanger. We will see what exactly is the efficiency or the effectiveness of the heat exchanger. We're rubbing this, and now we'll see. We'll state the points here. First of all, stating the points. This is the entry into the compressor is 1, and the exit of the compressor is 2, right? And again, entry into the heat exchanger is at 3 dash, not exactly at 3. It will be 3 when it is directly entering into the combustion chamber, but here, because of using heat exchanger, the enthalpy value will change, and that we will be assuming it as 3 dash. And after 3 dash, after coming out of the compression chamber, it entering into the turbine, it will be at a state 3. Now it will be at state 3. Understand? The exit of the combustion chamber is at state 3, right? And after leaving the turbine, it will be at a state 4, or if the turbine is having some isentropic efficiency, then it will be at state 4 dash. It will be at stage 4 dash. At 4 dash, it will be moving and moving and moving. At 4 dash, it will enter into the heat exchanger, and then it will be going into the atmosphere at B. So let that be some B point, B state. So now we will take only the heat exchanger part and analysis it. So this is our heat exchanger part, and the exhaust gases entering at 4 dash and leaving at B, nothing to the atmosphere, and the compressed air entering at 2 and leaving at 3 dash. Right. So this is carrying some heat. So the heat interaction occurs between this. In this way, we are giving heat to the entry air, fresh air. So what will be the effectiveness or efficiency of the regenerator? The effectiveness of the efficiency is regenerator is given by ER, and that is the, by definition, it is increase in enthalpy. So what enthalpy? Our air will increase. So it is increase in enthalpy. Will be a little quicker today because these all questions, calculation part will be a lot in these questions. So we need to make them fast in order to save some time in the video. Increase in enthalpy upon the maximum possible increase in enthalpy. What can be the maximum possible increase in enthalpy? Maximum possible increase in enthalpy. First of all, see what is the increase in enthalpy of the fresh air. Nothing but it is entering at 2 and leaving at 3 dash. So it is H3 dash minus H2 upon maximum possible. What will be the maximum possible? Maximum possible is if the H2 will be equal to the H4 dash whenever the efficiency is 100%. Nothing but suppose this is entering at some at the heat of or at a temperature of say suppose some 600 Kelvin, and after heat exchanger it is leaving at 300 Kelvin. Now our compressed air, since due to compression a little of its temperature will be increased, and it can be say suppose at 400 Kelvin it is entering into the out of the compressor. Now after this heat exchanger, generally it will rise to some 500 Kelvin. So what is the actual increase in temperature is 500 minus 400. But what can be the maximum possible increase is this 400 can reach a maximum value of 600 if the heat exchanger is 100% efficient. Right. So it is nothing but the maximum possible is nothing but H4 dash minus H2. Understood? This is the efficiency of this regenerator. So now we'll go into the solution to the question. Now everything is all about calculation. This will be very easy now. And in the question also given the efficiency of compressor, and the efficiency of compressor is not given in the question, then we'll assume it as 1. So therefore now we'll calculate the efficiency of the regenerator. This is just to state about the point compression. Nothing is mentioned in the question. We'll take it as 1. So regenerator, since we are using completely gas, this enthalpies can be written in the form of temperatures T3 dash minus T2 upon T4 dash minus T2. So we'll remember this cycle here, and we'll calculate all the values. Regenerator is equal to T3 dash minus T2 upon T4 dash minus T2. Right, and that is given as 0.8 in the question. Right, and T3 dash so the effectiveness of the regenerator is equal to 0.8 T3 dash minus T2 upon T4 minus T2. In the question T3 dash is not unknown. At the same time T4 dash is also unknown. T2 was given in the question as 490. So we need to calculate the value of T4 dash first. So the T4 dash can be calculated from the turbine. So generally, first of all, to calculate T4 dash, we will calculate T4. How will you calculate T4? We know it is an isentropic process. So T4 upon T3 is equal to Rp power, since air, gamma upon gamma, gamma minus 1 upon gamma. From that the value of T4 is, T3 was given in the question as 1000 into Rp was 5 power 0.4 upon 1.4. From that we will get the value of T4, and that comes out to be 631.38 Kelvin. How will it now T4 is known, 631.38 Kelvin. We need to calculate T4 dash. For that we will be using the isentropic efficiency of the turbine, that is nothing but 0.8, and isentropic efficiency of turbine, you know, that is equal to W actual upon W ideal, and the W actual is between the two temperatures T3 and T4. So it is T3 minus W actual is between T3 and T4 dash upon W ideal is between T3 and T4. So here T3 was known, T4 was known. We'll calculate the value of T4 dash from here. So by calculating T4 dash from here, we'll be getting the value of 705.1 Kelvin. This is the value of T4 dash. That T4 dash will substitute here in the effectiveness of the regenerator. From there we'll get the value of our T3 dash. This is also calculated here, 700.51. From there we'll get the value of T3 dash as 662 Kelvin. So T3 dash was also known. Now we need to calculate all the things needed. So first thing is work done by turbine. That is nothing but, this is the actual work done by turbine. That is nothing but between the actual process, T3 minus T4 dash. T3 minus T4 dash, that is equal to Cp. If we can calculate, it is good, well and good. In the question, whatever thing was asked, the thing asked in the question is calculate the cycle efficiency. So we need to calculate the cycle efficiency. In order to save the calculation, what we'll do is we'll keep it as it is. We'll not substitute any value. And work done by compressor is Cp into the compressor works between 1 and 2, right? So it is T2 minus T1. And also the heat added, QA, is equal to Cp into heat is added only in the combustion chamber, that is between 3 dash and 3. So it is nothing but T3 minus T3 dash, right? Now we need to calculate the efficiency. We know the efficiency is equal to work done by turbine minus work done by compressor upon the heat added, nothing but QA, right? The work done by turbine is having Cp, and this is having Cp, and this is having Cp. In the numerator and denominator, Cp will be getting cancelled out. Then we'll be getting T3 minus T4 dash. Just to make the simplification easier, since the question only efficiency was asked, T3 minus T4 dash minus T2 minus T1 upon T3 minus T1 upon T3 minus T3 dash. Once we substitute all the values of temperatures, everything we've calculated, then we'll get the efficiency value as 31.03%. Power plant questions are very easy. Once you know what exactly was asked in the question, what was the condition given in the question, then everything is a play of enthalpies, calculation of enthalpies, temperatures, efficiencies and things. Next we'll be going to the next question. In a 3-stage air compressor. So we are having a 3-stage air compressor. So when in questions like multi-stage compressors, we'll be using the number of stages by X, and it is like 3-stage compressor, so it is a 3. Inlet pressure and the temperature. So inlet pressure was given nothing but P1 1 bar, and the temperature was given as 300 Kelvin. The total pressure ratio. So since it is having a 3-stage, this is the first stage, this is our second stage, this is our third stage, right? So entry into the first stage, to the second stage, to the third stage, and final output. And in the question it is given the total pressure ratio. So suppose if it is entering at P1, then it comes out of the first stage, second stage, third stage. After coming out of first stage, it will be at P2. After second stage, it will be entering at coming out of P3, and then it will be coming at P4, right? So it is given the total pressure ratio, nothing but P4 upon P1 was given in the question as 10, and also given the pressure ratio of the stages are equal. So each stage pressure ratio was same, nothing but first stage P2 upon P1, second stage P3 upon P2, and the third stage P4 upon P3. These all were equal. This was the condition given in the question. And the mass flow rate of the compressor mean it will be handling air. So mass flow rate is given as 1 kg per second, right? And the compression follows. The compression is following a polytropic process of PV power 1.3 is equal to constant. So the N value is equal to 1.3. We need to calculate the power input. So always we know the power is nothing but mass flow rate into work input, or the work net. We can call it as work net. In fact, we'll call it as work net. So always in multi-stage, whenever you see the question of compressor, air compressor or a multi-stage compressor, then remember only one generalized formula for this work net, because this we have to remember. We can even calculate the enthalpy, set points, everything, but for these type of questions only shortcut is to remember the W net. So we'll see for X stage compressor, we'll be making a generalized statement for X stage. If suppose it is a single stage, then X is equal to 1. If it is for 2 stage, then X is equal to 2. Here it is a 3 stage, so X is equal to 3. For X stage, what we call compressor, the work done is given by W. We have to remember this formula. This is a simple formula. X into N upon n minus 1 into P1 V1, that we can also write MRT1, into Px plus 1 upon P1 whole power n minus 1 upon x into n minus 1. This is our work done. So from that we will calculate the work done for 3 stage. So 3 stage is 3 into n is given as 1.3. This is a generalized formula we need to remember for the exam. Practice 2 to 3 times, then it will be very easy to remember. And any question of multi-stage compression we can solve easily. And 3 into 1.3 upon 1.3 minus 1 into P1 V1, we can write it as RT1. Or you can even write MRT1. When it is taken as M, then it will be a power. So we can write P1 T1 as RT1. R for air is 0.287 kilojoule per kg Kelvin, into the temperature is given as 300 Kelvin, into Px plus 1, P3 plus 1, nothing but P4 upon P1. P4 upon P1 was given in the question as 10. So it is 10 power n minus 1, 1.3 minus 1 is 0.3 upon x into n, nothing but 3 into 1.3 minus 1. And we calculate the work done, it comes out to be 216.894 kilojoules. Once the work done was known, then the power is easy, just multiplied by the mass flow rate, and that comes out to be 216. Mass flow rate was 1 kg per second into 216.894, then it comes out to be 216.894 kilowatts. That is our answer. It's very easy question. All the questions in power plant will be in the same easy level for gate examination. For gate, even the questions will be less than this standard. We have solved a question here, right? Regenerator question. This question is the highest standard for gate examination. But for engineering services mains examination, there are many possible in-depth of questions. So we need to practice once we are attending the mains examination. So this is our question 3. We got the answer as 216.894 kilowatts. Now we will be entering into the question number 4. Here again we have taken the Brayton cycle. Here effectiveness of regenerator. Brayton cycle with regenerator we taken. See, here we consider the second question, gas turbine cycle. Here we don't have any regenerator. Here also we have regenerator. But in this question, this is a simple question where we need to calculate the efficiency. Here the turbine isentropic efficiency, everything was not given. So we will take the TS diagram first. First we will go through the question first. A Brayton cycle regeneration with pressure ratio 6. With pressure ratio 6 works between the temperature limits of 300 Kelvin and 1200 Kelvin. So the maximum and minimum temperatures were given. If the effectiveness of the regenerator is 0.75%, find the efficiency of the cycle. So we need to calculate efficiency directly. Right. So what we'll do is we'll draw the TS diagram first. So drawing the TS diagram, since it is a gas turbine cycle, we don't have any saturation curve. And drawing the TS diagram, we know one straight line will be for compressor, and larger than that other straight line will be for turbine. Right, and then 2 constant pressure lines. And in the question, we'll write the whatever all the points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the maximum temperature, minimum temperature was given. This is the minimum temperature in the cycle, and this is the maximum temperature. This is given as 300 Kelvin, and in the maximum is 1200 Kelvin. Nothing but T1 is given as 300 Kelvin, and T3 is given as 1200 Kelvin in the question. So 1, 2, 3, 4, everything was marked. Here in the question, isentropic efficiency of the compressor and turbine was not given. So directly the isentropic efficiency will be taken as 1, and the 1 to 2 and 3, 4 are actual processes for the compressor and turbine respectively. But here there is a given, they're using a regenerator, and the regenerator is having an effectiveness of 75%. I said whenever we are having a regenerator, mark a point 3 dash on the 2 to 3 curve. So the actual heat transfer occurs between 3 dash and 3 in the heat exchanger. In 2 to 3 dash we'll be using the regenerator, and the working of regenerator we've studied in the previous question. So directly we'll apply the effectiveness of regenerator here. That is given in the question as 0.75, and we will apply directly to as T3 dash minus T2 upon the maximum possible is T4 minus T2. Right, and we know T1 and T3, but we don't know the value of T2. Right, so T2 we can obtain it from T2 by T1 is equal to Rp power gamma minus 1 upon gamma. From that we will get the T1 was known, Rp was known, RP was given in the question as 6. From that we'll get the value of T2, and the T2 comes out to be 500.5531 Kelvin. Similarly, we'll calculate T3 was known, T4 was known, not known. So even for that we'll apply T3 by T4 is equal to between the same pressure ratios. RP power gamma minus 1 upon gamma. From this we'll calculate the value of T4, that comes out to be 719.204 Kelvin. Right. So T4 was known, T2 was known, T1 was known, T3 was known. All the data were known. We'll calculate the T3 dash from this. So substituting this, we'll get the value of T3 dash here. And the T3 dash comes out to be 664.5412 Kelvin. So T3 dash was also obtained. T4 was also obtained. T2 was also obtained. T1 and T3 was initially given. Now only the task of substitution. The question was asked is efficiency of the cycle. Cp was set to take as 1.005 kg per degree centigrade or kg per Kelvin, anything is the same. So efficiency can be written as work done by turbine minus work done by compressor upon heat added. And we know the turbine is working between 3 and 4. So the work done can be written as H3 minus H4. In terms of temperature, since it is an air, Cp will be getting cancelled. So work done by turbine can be written as T3 minus T4 minus the work done by compressor is between 1 and 2. It is nothing but T2 minus T1 upon the heat added is between 3 dash and 3 in the combustion chamber. Right. So it is between 3 dash and 3. So it is T3 minus T3 dash. So all the temperature values were known. T3 was known, T4 was known, T2 was known, T1 was known, T3 dash was known. Once by substituting that all the temperature values, we'll get the efficiency value as 52.34%. This is a simple question. There in the question, there were also given turbine efficiency, adiabatic efficiency. So we have solved one question on that, and one more question we are solving this basic question. These are the possible questions can be asked in GATE. And next, coming to the question number 5. This is a little bit interesting question. There is nothing tricky in this, but seeing the question, everyone feel it is a very big question. There is something more terms involved, but the actual question is very easy. For this, we need to know the functioning of a steam turbine actually. So steam turbine actually. We'll just construct a block diagram and we'll do all the explanations there. Before that, we'll read the question. A steam turbine is governed by throttling. Okay. We'll explain what governing by throttling is actually. The full load output of the steam turbine measured at the coupling is 5 megawatt. And losses due to bearing friction, governor, oil pump drive, etc. adds up to 200 kilowatts. Okay, the steam is supplied at a pressure of 20 bar and 300 degrees centigrade into the turbine. Okay, the exhaust pressure of the steam is 0.07 bar. After expansion, the pressure is reduced and it is 0.07 bar. The internal efficiency ratio is in full load is 0.75. So we'll discuss what is internal efficiency ratio also. Calculate the coupling power of the turbine when the steam flow through the turbine is 20% of the full load. So now the load on the complete steam power plant is reduced to 20%. We need to calculate the coupling power now at 20% load. At 100% load, it was given in the question as 5 megawatt. We need to calculate it at 20% load. Assume the external losses are same. So here we are having an external loss of 200 kilowatt. So here also the external losses will be the same 200 kilowatts. And also the exhaust pressure is same. Okay, exhaust pressure being the same. The internal efficiency ratio is reduced to 70% here. Here the internal efficiency ratio is 0.75, nothing but 75%. Here it is 70%, nothing but 0.7. So we'll discuss what all this question, what is meant by coupling, what is full load, what is 20% load, what is internal efficiency ratio. For that we need to have the block diagram of this steam turbine. We'll make the block diagram. So this is a block diagram for the steam turbine. This is our actual turbine. There can be many blades inside. And this is our governor. This will be connected to our governor. We'll see what is the functioning of the governor. This is our governor, and here we'll be having a bearing here. Since shaft, whenever we are using shafts, on shafts we'll be having bearings, right? On the bearings itself we'll be doing everything. The complete load of the shaft is supported by the bearings, and this is our coupler. What is coupler? Which connects two shafts is called as a coupler. So this is a coupler C. This is our turbine T, and this is our generator. From the generator we will be producing electricity. This shaft is called as turbine shaft, and this shaft is called as generator shaft. Connecting those both will be having a coupler. And to the inlet to the turbine, what we will be giving to the inlet to the turbine? To the inlet we will be giving heat energy as an input to the turbine. High temperature steam will be given at high pressure, And once the steam enters the turbine, it expands. Since the volume is getting increased, it expands and comes out, and it generates a power, that nothing but the shaft power, or it can be called as the blade power. Okay, it can be called as the blade power is generated, and that once transferring into the coupling and connected to the one more shaft, due to some losses, there will be some losses in the coupling, and then it comes out to be the shaft power. Okay, from the coupler it comes out to be the shaft power. After shaft power, it is then passed to the generator. The shaft is connected to the generator coil, and it generates the electric power. So it is the final output of our power plant, that is the electrical power. So we are giving the heat energy to the turbine. So here in the question, it is given at 100% load. What is meant by 100% load? Suppose you are making your own generator. Say suppose in your home you have 3 air conditioners, 10 tube lights, and 5 ceiling fans, and there are 2 refrigerators, grinder, and everything. Once if you run every device at a time, then they need lots and lots of power. Then your generator should produce that equivalent power, whatever required. To produce that equivalent power, it had to consume more heat energy. If it consumes more heat energy, it produces more power, right? If it had to consume more heat energy, it should be taking more diesel from your tank, right? So if you are using a diesel generator, it should take more diesel from the tank. So at full load mean when all the devices are running at a time, right? Your generator is designed for all these equipments, right? When it is at full load mean it is using 100% of its maximum. So we are using turn on every device and it is running at full load. Then you need to supply more amount of diesel here. Then your heat energy will be more here. Since you are supplying more amount of diesel, it will produce more heat. Then heat energy into the turbine will be more. Once the heat energy into the turbine is more, it will produce more blade power, right? Once the blade power is more, then the shaft power will be produced more in the coupling after the passing through the coupling. When the shaft power is more, it passing through a generator, the coil rotates at higher RPM, and it produces EMF, the electric power at higher rate. So we are producing more electric power, and that electric power used by all the equipment now. If suppose you decreased that load, suppose you were leaving the house outside and you turned off all the fans, you turned off the air conditioners, and only you're left with the lights and your refrigerator and other devices which should be running all the time, then your load is reduced, electrical load is reduced now. Since electrical load is reduced, we need not give the same amount of heat energy to the turbine now. We just reduce the heat energy also. Suppose you are giving 30%, 50% of the, suppose the requirement is 50% of load. Then out of the heat energy, we need only 50% to be given to the turbine. Then the blade power will be the 50% of the maximum full load, and our shaft power will be the 50% of the maximum shaft power, and even the electric power will be the 50% of the maximum electric power load. So if you are using if your load requirement is only 50%, then your heat energy will be only 50%. In the same way, your diesel consumption will also be only 50%. In the similar way, the steam power plants, whatever power plants we are having, right? These power plants will be giving electricity to a state, maybe a state or 2 cities. So in the cities, when will be the peak time? The peak time will be at 12 noon or at 11 a.m. where all the industries start, all the offices start, right? We'll be using lots and lots of power to run the machines and everything. When will be the least load possible in the day? It will be in the night time. If it is in a winter, it will be in the night time, right? In the winter, during the nights, we'll be turning off all the lights. Mostly we'll not be using any air conditioners. All the industries will be closed during the night, most of the industries. And the power requirement, the power load requirement is very less now. So then the load is reduced. In the same way, at 100% load, our shaft power was given the coupling power. At the coupling, the shaft power was measured as 5 megawatts. And the electrical power, and at 20% load, we need to calculate what is actually the coupling power. So for that, we will make the mathematics terms here. And in the question, it is given at 100% load. The shaft is giving a 5 megawatt. And also given there were the losses due to the governor, and also the losses due to the oil pump, the losses due to the bearing at the shaft, These all include some friction, there will be losses, and all the losses were given in the question to be adding up to 200 kilowatt, nothing but 0.2 megawatts. Right, now we'll solve the question. Before that, we'll see what exactly is the steam turbine governing through throttling. Generally, we'll be having two types of throttling used in the steam turbine. One will be the nozzle throttling, one will be the nozzle governed steam turbine, other will be the throttle governed steam turbine. Here in the question, we need only about the throttling. We'll see what exactly is throttling. So this is our steam throttling governed steam turbine, steam engines. So Stirling turbine, steam turbines. Here the steam will be entering here. The steam will be entering here. This is called a stop valve. These are the throttling control valves. Suppose your load is more, then our turbine should run at high speeds to produce high power, right? So if it has to run at high speeds, then the steam entry into the turbine should also be at higher rate. Okay, who will regulate that? Depending upon the speed, who will regulate the inlet of steam to the turbine? That is regulated by these governors, right? So here our steam will be entering. If suppose our load is more, then our stop valve will be moving in the upward direction, allowing more steam to enter, and our throttling valves will be moving apart from each other. Then the more amount of steam will be leaving the output. If our load is less, then our turbine need to rotate at low speeds. It should produce low power. Then our stop valve will be moving downward, and the control valves will be moving towards each other, and only a less amount of steam will be leaving out of the outlet. In that way, we will be governing our steam turbine using throttling device. In nozzle, it will be something different. Whenever the question of nozzle, we will discuss there. Here, due to time constraint, we will just go into the solving the question. So in the question, two conditions given. One is at 100% load and other is 20% load. So at 100% load, we will make the calculations here. This is an interesting question. It is all about mathematics. We'll start from a point and we'll end to the same point. Okay. First of all, at 100% load, the power at coupling is given as 5 megawatts, and also the losses were given as 0.2 megawatt, nothing but 200 kilowatts. Then what is actually the power generated at the blade? Because after generating the power at the blade, only then after passing through the coupling, it will be converted into shaft burn or the coupling power. So initially, in between there will be losses. In between these there will be losses. If suppose here it is 5 megawatts, then including the losses, here it will be producing 5.2 megawatts. So here in the question, the power at the blade is nothing but the 5 megawatt at the coupling plus the losses. Then that comes out to be 5.2 megawatts. And now here they gave a term called internal efficiency. The word itself says internal. So what exactly is internal? Is internal to the turbine. So what happens inside the turbine? For the turbine, we will be giving heat energy. Right, heat energy. And that will be connected. Heat energy that will be sent into the turbine. And the turbine blades produce blade power, nothing but P blade. Then here the efficiency comes out to be the output, nothing but the P blade upon the heat energy, HE. Or we can write it as Q instead. To make it simpler, we'll write it as Q. So here in the 100% load, the heat, the internal efficiency. So we'll write T efficiency internal is equal to P blade, that is given in the question as P output 5.2 megawatts upon the heat added or the heat energy input, that is not known. And the efficiency is given in the question as 0.75. From this we will calculate the heat energy added, that is 6.9333 megawatts. So this is the heat energy added to the turbine at 100% load. Now the load is reduced to 20%. So when the load is reduced to 20%, we've already discussed in the cyclic manner, our heat energy to the steam turbine will also decrease to 20%. So the QA here will be 20% of the full load or full load at 100%. That is 0.6933. From that we will get the value of Q added at 20% load. Q heat energy to the 20% load. That comes out to be 1.3867 megawatts. And also at this again at 20% load, the internal efficiency was given in the question as 0.7, and that is nothing but equal to P blade the power produced at blade at 20% efficiency upon the heat added at 20% efficiency, 20% load, 20% load. 20% load heat added was already obtained from here. Then from that we'll get the value of P blade at 20%, and that comes out to be 0.7 into 1.3867, and that is 0.97067 megawatts. That is the P blade at 20%. There in the question we were asked to calculate. Coupling power of the turbine at 20% load. So we need to calculate the coupling power. So what is coupling power? The coupling power is P at blade. The coupling power at 20% load. P at blade at 20% load minus the losses. And in the question it is said external losses remain the same, whatever be the load. And the losses in the question was given at 200 kilowatt, nothing but 0.2 megawatts. So from here we will substitute the P blade was obtained as 0.97067 minus 0.2. And from that we will getting the P coupling, power at the coupling at 20% load as 0.77067 megawatts. And that is our final answer to the question. Thanks for watching. These are all the basic questions on power plant. Still we will be doing many such important questions. In next cycle of quiz on the same power plant, we will be doing questions on reheating and the combination of reheating and regeneration. How will we proceed in question? For GATE, this standard is more than enough. Once we practice in this standard, then it will be more than enough for GATE. So thanks for watching.